Hello, everybody. Second thing today, we have a 7 a.m. today to do a speech, a virtual keynote. First one I ever did. It's pretty cool. I did a presentation. They're going to give me the video. I'll put it up if anybody's interested. But today what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you again. I created this Miguel Sanchez universe, put you in my universe. So I'm going to bring you to a conference that I would have been at and let you watch in, and we're gonna see what they're talking about. I'll comment on what they're talking about, and we will discuss what's going on with ARVR. So
I can up that one. I can up it a couple of times in the AR space. Yeah. So there's a couple of there's a great study. If you do a web search, I think it's what every manager should or needs to know about their augmented reality strategy. It's done by a guy called Jim Hoppelman, who's the CEO of PTC, and a guy from Harvard Business School, Michael Lee Porter. So one of them on there is Newport News Shipbuilding, who make those big aircraft carriers. You see, like they land on Top Gun.
Technical difficulties, but so this conference is about the future of augmented and virtual reality, right? So what we're speaking about is the fact that COVID is putting us in this world where we will have to look at these technologies and legitimately give them a shot, because we just went through a situation that most people didn't think we would go through. But at the same time, it is a snapshot into the future that we get to live in and say, all right, how did things work when that happened? And then create solutions for them. So I'm not sure what's going on with the stream, but if you are on Twitter as well, there's an ARVR Innovate hashtag, and that's me giving my speech, but there's a bunch going on. There's a bunch of people talking about it. It was trending. But this technology, augmented and virtual reality, oh, that's from my thing. All right, let me retweet that. All right, ARVR Innovate. So I'm not sure what's going on with that feed, if it's me or them. Let's see. I'm going to refresh it. Maybe I got too much going on. I'm working at 5G. Oh, no, it was them.
I think that quicker isn't always better. In this case, I think it was an improvement. So, things like that. The more of these stats that come out, the better.
So here's what I'd like to ask, because I feel like we could sit here and round robin all these amazing stats for the rest of the panel and several hours afterwards, right? And this is all amazing, and this is all stuff we should be trumpeting and shouting from the rooftops. So given all of this data, which is overwhelming, why aren't we like all millionaires, right? I mean, that sounds crass, but
yes,
there's not, we still are seeing resistance to this. We're still seeing people not willing to invest. We're still seeing this slower uptick than I think we would all like. So what are the roadblocks that we're all running into? Because we have the data, we have the ROI, we have that defined. So what is the resistance people are seeing?
I'm going to answer that one.
I can certainly talk a little bit to that, but I perhaps get a view from Wendy. But there's a couple of things. One, it's not just about a technology solution. One of the things, and certainly in AR, that involves a lot of the kind of people doing their jobs rather than kind of training to do their jobs. It's about hearts and minds. So they've got to use this tool, especially the people that have been.
I'm going to say.
I talked about the dockyard. There's a great story.
I'm going to say
for 40 years,
people are
so
afraid
say, hey,
to lose their jobs and take a risk.
And they're kind of thinking, no, hang on a sec. I've been able to do this all my life. So there are other barriers. There's technology ones. There's hearts and minds. There's safety, security, other kind of things we talk a lot about. And
they're afraid to take a risk and use a technology that they don't know about. So the idea of
you've got a few trailblazers
spending $200,000, $300,000 on
So
a
I do
project
think,
that doesn't see a clear return on investment right away. Most companies are not set up to do that.
Success is when we come also as a package with other content creators. So we're the content creators for stress management platforms. We work well in employee wellness programs. The world has never been more stressful. Employees who are now working remotely now coming back into work. So we are seeing a significant uptake actually since COVID. But pre-COVID, looking at the ROI for a company to invest in the hardware, they don't necessarily do that just for an employee wellness program, sadly. They want to do that for training plus wellness plus something else. And so we do well if we work with other partners in the space to put together a package on, you can use this one device. I mean, it's not unlike when computers were rolled out or when tablets were rolled out. It's one app among many. And so we have to prove that ROI for the technology as well as our own. So it's like you said, it's the education, but it's also just proving that the investment in the hardware is worth it, that it's not going to be obsolete a year from now. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. I would say, Courtney, that I don't think there is enough data. I mean, yeah, we can come out with some nice little figures. I totally agree. There isn't enough real data for large organizations to be absolutely 100% comfortable in investing in this technology. You know, yes, it's coming out. And you know what? There's going to be a huge change in this industry over the coming year or so, because there is going to be much more data. And it's not going to be these kind of little tidbits that we have, you know, these sort of like, hey, there's this and this, and there is some really good stuff, and of course we're all bought into it already, so we're kind of drinking the Kool-Aid on that one. But you know, there will be more data that comes out, and there needs to be really tangible data. For example, we've worked with Shell rolling out a big health and safety training program. We've been working with them for 2.5 years now. We are not able to say anything about that. There is a ton of data coming out from that in due course, but right now you're not going to know about it. And therefore, you know, until these larger sort of global organizations say we were safer, you know, we have less injuries, all these sorts of things. Once that starts coming out, that's when this thing really takes off. And I think that will happen because these programs are in place. It's not just us doing it. It's obviously lots of other companies doing it. The data over the coming year, I think, is really going to build. And that's going to become far more easy for organizations to go, yes, that's the right technology for us. At the moment, it's still
public about it. You know, FedEx has been public about it. JetBlue's been public about it. A handful here or there, right? But one of the things that is interesting to me is when you start doing research on it, a lot of people are like piloting it, trying it, working with third-party vendors, right? So there's all these like third-party vendors that build specific trainings for specific things. So maybe companies aren't building it internally, but they're using external vendors. And I think if you look at the actual market penetration, it's greater than any of us know, and no one has really nailed that down. And I think it's the type of thing where people are sort of skeptical because they think, oh, it's a new thing, and they don't understand that a lot of people are using it, and that includes a lot of their competitors, right?
Yeah. To be honest, I've got a stat. I did dig out a stat looking at some research whereby 24% of companies are using VR for training or simulation. You know, I thought it was too high, and I dug into it. So, you know, there's that sense of not feeling you're too far out ahead, right? You know, you don't want to be the guy who's the trailblazer. You want to be the company who's kind of tucking in with the early majority, but not too far ahead. So I think, there's a lot more people using it than you think. I think a lot of companies are scared to really put their head above the parapet too much in case this thing falls over. There's still that slight,
I think what happens with all of these companies,
we're just getting over it. But you know, companies are inherently risk averse. So they don't want to be the ones.
I always say,
we're rolling out
all these companies want to be innovative, but they don't want to be the first ones to innovate, right? So at the end of the day, a lot of these companies will want to do something cool that pushes them ahead of their competition, but they don't want to take the risk. So you can't have both worlds. You have to choose. And I believe, right now we're looking at a time where the company that does this right can skyrocket, like literally get all the business, right? So you want to try it, man. You want to try if you can, especially right now with the benefit of us being home, but at the same time, the economies are kind of screwed up, so we can't really, spend money in the same way. But this investment can reap such a reward, you have no clue. So let me turn this back on.
Made it available for everybody. I said, well, that's great in the kind of area which we're using it, but actually, and it's a couple of years old now, we want to make that available for everybody. So we've actually now, and what I can do is stick it in the chat box. It's actually made that ROI calculator available for everyone. So you could just go online and just kind of click through. And what it should do, hopefully, is have a bunch of questions that you can ask as you go through. Obviously, you've got to put the costs in, though there was a kind of a demo set of costs there. But, really, sometimes just helping people think through what the process could be and what questions to ask helps. I'm not saying that it's 100% perfect, and I'd love anybody to provide any feedback on it. But, maybe we need more of these kind of tools. Maybe as, again, an ecosystem. If we start to get these numbers, we can promote them and communicate them a little bit more. Because there is an educational side. I think one person made a comment that, VR has been around for 4 years or plus, longer than that, which is kind of right. But again, we still don't see these stories coming out. So, I just wanted to put that out there, because anything we can do to help the ecosystem think about and have tools to do this, and more importantly, be able to communicate it, is going to help target those business decision makers.
I think just VR's been around for 4 years. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to call that out. So, it's no longer on the Gartner hype cycle, which is hilarious, right? Because it's matured. What does that mean? If the market perceives it the way they perceive it, doesn't matter if it's been around for 4 years or 14 years, really.
Yeah, I know on the AR side, we definitely see a lot of interest and traction on implementing AR first, and we use it as a bit of a carrot to get into more immersive media, whether it works with some opportunities to integrate with their existing protocol, whether we can embed it on some sort of written pamphlet. I saw a great thing in a different conference yesterday where they were embedding it into training manuals. We've seen that with Convergence, where they still want the hard copy book, but let's make it a little bit more interesting, interactive, memorable. So yeah, the AR side has certainly helped us. And honestly, now when we're having these conversations with companies for implementation, they're hesitant about VR for hygiene purposes. So while we've worked with great companies, we have great hygiene protocol. Now is not the time to share a headset, unfortunately. Even more so before. And so CleanBox has been a fantastic partner. They rushed a couple for us so that we could do healthcare initiatives. We do quite a bit with frontline workers. Again, the stress was high before. Stress is even higher now. So we definitely. But AR has been saving grace. We were very happy to also have that as a platform, because for the times that we just can't get over that hygiene concern, or we can also reach people in their homes. So for right now, being diversified on both sides of the line, I think is necessary for all of us, unfortunately. But the way we do it, I just saw somebody pop in the chat on helium. So just to give a little bit more context around our product, we have it's stress management using XR, so immersive media, but we also integrate with biometrics from wearables, so consumer wearables, able to actually display the stress levels of the user in real time, and then how they're actually decreasing that stress.
So biometrics means
that's a very short.
The AR can tell you. You can look at a person and tell you their heart rate's down, or they could have anything, dehydration, all these different things.
Memory retention, workplace efficiencies, lack of absences. If we're using XR to reduce stress in the workplace, it's to try to get people to stay at work, come to work, enjoy their time there, and be productive. So most of the statistics I'm sharing are around how often people miss work due to stress-related illness and disease. So, and I think that those are applicable even if you're not directly in the anxiety stress business like we are, even for training, to make training less stressful and less intense, reading out of a book instead of doing it immersively. So I think that those kind of statistics are helpful for employers because everyone relates to it. Everyone understands what it's like to study for that compliance test out of a textbook instead of so.
And reducing absence must be, that's a huge cost, right?
Absence is directly, they already calculated that cost for you. So employee absences is one that's out there specific to the company you're working with, and that HR department's going to know that number. And then retention. So those are the statistics we tend to go straight to.
Guys, it's Alex here. Just putting in, just conscious of, I think we have another panel ready to go. I really found the discussion fascinating. Thanks to everybody. Apologies to Wendy for the little technical getting you into stage, but I think it worked very well. Actually, there was a specific question for you there from Andrew Jenkinson. He's with vStream here in Dublin. He'd love to hear about Helium and how they have proven ROI. I know that his company have a keen interest in healthcare and VR.
Yeah, and that was the question I was kind of side answering there a little bit. So thank you, Andrew. But yeah, we try to prove ROI. Often, HR departments are already doing employee satisfaction surveys. They're already doing, retention numbers. So they've calculated that math for you. So if we can run an implementation and then check back 6 months or a year from now, often they have the framework already in place for us to use what they have, maybe add a question or two. Again, just trying to gather that data. We're also very data heavy. So aside from doing clinical trials and research studies that we have published, we also we can collect data from consumer wearables. So we can show very objective stress level reductions, right? And so those dashboards are available to the employer. They can show that their employees are actually actively reducing their stress. We also have a focus protocol. So we can show brainwave focus and again, increase in that. So again, the data for us is there, but it's still telling the story. It's still trying to connect that to their bottom line. So there is a challenge, but we are seeing HR departments being reactive to that because they're measuring the same things. So.
That's a kind of natural break. I hope I've managed to capture the various questions. I'm just skimming through them there. There's a lot of people watching, which is great. Many thanks to everybody. I think just a note there from Louise Palfreyman. There's an interesting dynamic between the learning and development
team. While we switch over to the next thing, I'm going to talk to you about some of what we just saw, right? So at the end of the day,
that's an interesting one, all right.
all this technology is
around
fine and dandy, but if nobody will pay for it, it'll never happen, right? So that's where you look for either funders, like venture capitalists, or you look for clients, like enterprise clients, right? Because if an enterprise client decides to use this and they'll pay the amount it costs, you don't need to get investment. You can pay for it. I'm not sure if this is stuck or what. Can't tell if this is stuck. Hold on. Oh, is it my browser stuck? Let's quit. Fix it. All right. Browsers froze. Hurry up. technical difficulties, crashed. I was doing too much. Basically, what was going on there was anybody knows that builds anything, it costs money. It costs time or money. Especially with AR, there's some equipment needs. So what they were talking about was return on investment. Who pays for this and how do they get paid back, right? Because if I give you $1 million to figure out some cool thing for ARVR, I'm hoping to make 10 million, not just 1 million back. I want to make, that's what investors normally want. They want like 10 times their money or more, 40 times their money. So, you know, that's where enterprise solutions are first, because enterprises can pay for them. So if it costs $1 million and they're willing to pay the $1 million, it's because they know they can make back $10 million in their business. So everybody keeps talking about return on investment is because right now many people are not budging on trying this.
That would be his third appearance today.
Many people are not budging on trying this stuff out because they don't know how they're going to get their money back. They don't really understand how it'll work. So what I'm doing, what a lot of people talk about when they talk about ARVR is how can we prove it works so we can show people there is a return on investment. And right now, it's a tough game because not enough people are using it to prove that it is, you know, a high return on investment. Like the woman that was speaking of the last thing, she was showing that they had better rates of retention, which is a return on investment. You know how much money it costs to hire and train people? A lot of money. So if you can show that you retain 20% more of your employees, they can add a dollar value to that and say, okay, if it costs me $1 million a year to retain people because I have to, you know, spend on HR, training and all that, if 20% of that can go away and I keep 20% of that is $200,000, okay, maybe it's worth paying $200,000 to save $200,000 every year. So that's why it's always about the return on investment, sadly. But it makes sense from a business perspective. But from an innovation perspective, most innovation can't show quick return on investment because that's not how it works. You have to spend time looking, iterating, fixing. And by the time, that's why Steve Jobs was such a genius, actually. Steve Jobs did innovation under the guise of Apple, where he didn't launch something till he knew it was perfect. He knew to put in a lot of money in research and development and innovation and not worry about the return on investment right away. He knew year 10, 15, 20, when he's dominating and he's making hundreds of billions, that's his return on investment. Not, hey, all right, I just spent $1 million here. How do I get it back next year, this year? No, he was able to think more long term. And that's where I think needs to happen with ARVR. It's definitely not happening right now, you know. So, all right, let me see what these guys are talking about.
Doesn't get that sense. So it's probably unfair to ask you the sense of the day when you've been sitting in your living room or your kitchen looking at a monitor occasionally, or most of the day has been the case with James, so I appreciate that. But yeah, I'll throw it out there in terms of just some of the things you heard during the day, some of the sentiment that you have. I mean, clearly there's a big cloud, if I can call it that, which is COVID. Certainly it's been in every discussion today, COVID. What's your sense? Is it optimism? Is it a sense of cautious optimism, unbounded enthusiasm? Jay, I'll ask you. You can start off.
Well, what I hear from the people, not just from the today's event, there is a slight optimism. There are a lot of possibilities, a lot of opportunities. We've seen, especially in Germany, how we were not prepared for anything. I mean, even our educational system, they've been totally lost and trapped. And my little daughter had to stay 5 weeks. Oh, hell, 5 weeks without any school at home. Miserable. And when they finally tried to hop onto something, she had to use 3, 4, 5 different tools, which is totally crazy. and even my bigger daughter working from home. Our infrastructure, all of this stuff. I mean, even here, hop in, or is it Zoom or whatever? These things are just a kind of helper from the early 2000s. This is how we imagined as a kind of emergency, do something else. It's nothing interactive. It's nothing where you really can see the true potential of immersive technologies.
What do you guys think about? What do you guys think about? Because I actually did a LinkedIn article in my own, in the LinkedIn for ARVR Innovate. So if people are on LinkedIn, you can go to, there's an ARVR Innovate page. But I did an article a couple of days ago on that exact point, Jay, which was kind of a personal musing of what I was going to do. And I decided, we won't let ARVR Innovate die this year. We'll do something. I was kind of torn between Zoom or something more Second Life like Altspace or Virbella. And I looked at all those tools, but my reticence was one of scale, to be frank about it, in terms of the number of people who would be in those environments for a day, even though they are, I think, more a true glimpse of where the future should be. I don't know if anyone wants to jump in there.
I think doing stuff in Altspace, and I know you're doing that later, is valid. But I think you scale, Alex. You said it. You want as many people to be able to access as possible. And
so Altspace, what he's talking about with Altspace is this environment where you can go in and be a VR person in many different environments. So Altspace, I'll pull up the site right now. If you have a VR headset, you can VR headsets like the Oculus. These are all the ones that work, right? So Altspace, what you do is you create these environments and you can be places with your friends. Of course, right now you look like this type of character, but you are interacting, being social instead of being home alone. Like right now, a lot of people are. You can be interacting with people, and it's a little bit different than the live chat because you're in a real world environment. So you're not like flat, you can look around, do things. It's kind of like a video game in a way, like all being in a video game. But you can speak to each other. You can do a lot of things. I haven't played with it yet. Also, I heard you can do it through the browser actually, and they're gonna do something after this conference where everybody from the conference is gonna get on Altspace. So I'm gonna check that out right after the conference too.
Technology kind of things of that, all usual buzzwords you can think of. But as I said earlier, the complete focus on business value. So needs to making dollars at the end of the day. We've 600 in Ireland. Worldwide, it's about 60,000, I think. Like a Fortune 100 company, and kind of like we're kind of I think maybe 150-year-old company, maybe insurance company, but it's actually a remarkably so technically advanced company. So it's kind of everything is serverless, like everything's on the cloud. Kind of like our engineering practices, I'd say, kind of are second to none. So kind of like we see ourselves, even though insurance company, like our engineering practices will be the same as Google or kind of any of the big places. And so kind of
yeah, something's happening with that feed. But yeah, so what Altspace does and these environments that AR and VR are trying to create is, I believe, and that's what I did my presentation about. And maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll take you through my presentation real quick. Maybe that's what I'll do. So let me try that. Why not? Let me go. I'm gonna give you the quick version, because they definitely made a video, and I will. I'll post that eventually too. But all right. So here's my presentation. Can you see this? Oh no! All right. All right. You can't see it yet. All right, this is what I'm gonna do. Share screen. All right, so got you here. I'm gonna show you my presentation. All right, it's loading. I don't think I go full screen because it'll break it, but so I'm gonna take you through, and I can link people to this. Actually, it's gonna be on my site. You can I'm gonna put the URL how to get to it. So, of course, where I think is augmented reality and virtual reality will break through post-COVID world. Why? Because this situation puts us in a snapshot where we can see what the future could look like if we don't take advantage of these technologies, right? So the way I started out the presentation, I went through some of my examples. Bronx Zoo, I'm not sure how this will work. Yeah, all right. So Bronx Zoo video of when I walked into the Bronx Zoo trying to show them about augmented reality, and they took my my idea of putting cards in the zoo, and then they put cards in the zoo where when you scanned it, you got to see animals, and then you could donate. Because for that, there was when I went in to meet with them, the elephant was about 12 years away from possibly being extinct when I went in there and met with them. And I didn't know that in the meeting. I was just talking about, and I happened to, I swear to God, this is crazy. We created a demo of a card with an elephant to show them what we could do for the Bronx Zoo. And they were like, hold on, the elephant, we're about to have an elephant day at the zoo all around, in every zoo, because elephants are about to go extinct if we don't act now. So there was this whole thing called 96 elephants. So we had just like luckily backed into that. They were like, we love it, let's do it. So we got that project. Then I spoke about this this thing we did with Chanel. Again, I'll link you to, because I can't play the videos. I was speaking at a conference similar where I was supposed to be speaking today, and a woman from Chanel came up to me right after, and she was like, I agree with everything you said, but my problem is I don't have the way to explain it how you did. Can you come in and speak to my bosses at Chanel? And I was like, okay. So I did it, and we created a watch experience where you could open the watch, because this was one of their first men focused products. So we created an environment where they could put on glasses and literally see in the real world how the watch, what are the key features of the watch. So I just talked about that, and then I talked about the project we worked on last year for Facebook. You can go check all that out. Actually, this was not on the website yet. I'll throw it up there. Mass ideation, but it will be on this presentation. So then I spoke about how I always go into these meetings, and I'm always the doom and gloom guy, where I'm like, look, technology is coming. If you don't take advantage of it, you're gonna get rolled over by it. But most people see it as you're gonna get rolled over by physical robots that are gonna come and kill us. But it's not that. It is automation. It is like AI that is not physical. So, in having those conversations, I've always felt like this person, this Greek goddess, they call her Cassandra. I remember finding this out, where her special power was she could see the future, but she could never convince anyone else to believe her. So she knew everything that was going to happen, but nobody ever believed her. So I've always felt like that. Like, all right, I see it coming, but nobody's believing me. And then what happens? COVID hits, right? This virus comes out. It was also predicted by many scientists that have said for many years, something's going to come along, because it has before and it has forever, that we don't have an antibody for. So we need to be prepared. Of course we weren't, right? People don't listen. People are reactive, not proactive. So in this pandemic, I'm home, I'm looking at, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and I see this meme, and it's hilarious. Digital transformation is years away. I don't see our company having to change anytime soon. And then this wrecking ball called COVID-19 is about to decimate everybody's business. So where are we, right? Like right now, the world has changed forever, and are you ready for it or not? You know, it's really like survival of the fittest when it comes to business, right? Unless you're a big corporation, you can get bailed out by Donald Trump. I won't make it political, but you know, survival of the fittest for us small businesses, right, and medium-sized businesses. So how can you look at these new technologies and say, how can this help me scale my business, do things more efficiently, help my product be sold more? I believe augmented and virtual reality solutions will be created to solve these problems. So I'm giving you the fast forward version. So what are the key problems here, right? We have social distancing. Right now, we can't go outside as much because we can't be close to people, and people don't understand that. We can't touch things. Things may have the virus on them. Surfaces, money could have the virus on it. And we all have to be at home staring out our windows. So this leads to many opportunities in every industry, right? So education and training. In this presentation, I used the conference environment, right? I was supposed to be in Ireland today, but because of COVID, I'm at home, right? So this is what I would be looking out into, speaking on stage, scared to death, but doing it. And right now we can't do that. So what is being created? This video is awesome. I wish I could show you this video. This video is of a woman. I guess you can download the presentation and watch it. Of a woman that cloned herself through digital technology and made her presentation. And because it was done through digital, her words can be translated to any language. So you can see her presenting on stage or presenting in your house if you have these glasses, which I have them, that you can watch her presentation in any language. And that's the future of this. And that's part of why I'm doing this. That's why I do the show. That's why I do presentations. That's why I speak. And that's why I work in ARVR. I do believe this is the future. If you have a brand that people want to hear, they will literally be paying you to watch you in their house, explain stuff to them through these technologies. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. So then the other big example and opportunity is education, right? You are able to be educated through these technologies like never before. So we have been trained our whole lives. Actually, from the caveman days, we've been trained to learn by doing, right? So how do you learn by doing? By being in an environment and doing it. So imagine in AR, while you're in that environment, things are being highlighted to tell you how to do it. And that's already happening right now. It's already happening. So this is a huge, huge opportunity in our space. So there's more examples. I haven't put them all in here, but there's examples of like mechanics looking into an engine and then understanding what to do to replace a part. And they're not trained mechanics at all. But by looking at this with your glasses and it highlights, spin this first, then remove, right in that environment, anybody could pretty much do anything. And this example came from a conversation I had on the show from Monday, where there's literally oil rigs in the middle of the sea. They have problems, and sometimes they could explode because of them. So they have to helicopter in specialists to fix it. But now they've given them these glasses, and they put it on these glasses, and a remote expert can walk someone through how to fix it, right? So that's where, education and training is going to be huge. Medical. Right now, what is our biggest problem? COVID is overwhelming hospitals in specific areas. But what if you can have doctors in other places that are not overwhelmed be working on patients in the places that are overwhelmed? And this is starting to happen. The ARVR space is starting to move in this environment. And I know a few companies, I've helped a few companies that were trying to raise money to do this. I personally worked on a demo MVP, which means minimum viable product of a technology for the medical field. Entertainment, unless you've been sitting, under a rock or at home not caring, like most, you probably didn't know Travis Scott just had a concert inside of Fortnite. 12 million people watched it. He made $2 million off a 7-minute animation, pretty much, or whatever, 10, whatever it is. And it was all based on his music. Every fan that, you know, I literally heard about it because of my sons. I had no idea. I watched it. It was awesome. And I got a video animation of how it worked on the presentation. This URL right here, you can go to and download the presentation. I'm going to paste it in the links. All right. So yeah, Travis Scott. Right now, entertainers have been told that concerts are going away until 2021. Right? So that means as an entertainer, how do you make money? You know, but Travis Scott just did it virtually, made $2 million in 7 minutes. 12 million people watched it. Imagine if they charge people $1 per person to watch it. $12 million in 7 minutes. That's the power of technology and scale. Lowers your cost and expands your reach, right? So this animation, even if this animation cost what his stage setup costs and his backup dancers, everything that costs, the amount of people that could fit in the stadium versus can fit in the world and care, much different. So that's where I believe that all this is headed. And it's proof by what's happening. Retail. Of course, right now we're in a situation where we can't go outside. So there's certain things that we can do to buy stuff in our house. I actually worked on a project like this for Louis Vuitton, where we were showing products that they have where you can buy it in your house. You can see how it fits in your house, because for major expensive things, shipping and handling on that, one, that costs a bunch of money. Two, things break all the time. So if you ship $100,000 sofa and it breaks on the way back, you just lost $100,000. That's where return on investment again comes back to with technology. That's where they came to me again through Chanel. Louis Vuitton came to me and said, "Oh, we heard about you with the watch thing. Can you help us with this?" So with this type of environment, you already see on Amazon, actually on the Amazon app, a lot of products. There's a little button where you can press it and see how it'll look in your house. And I believe all corporations are going to need to do that very soon. Another thing is this company here, which a friend of mine, actually a developer that I helped come into this country, actually end up going and working for this company. This company, you can put on VR space, VR headset, and look around retail environments and buy without going to the physical location. Again, these companies were seeing the future. They were working in the future, and then they benefited once right now, because everybody is probably thinking, damn it, I need to make sure next time this happens, if it happens, we are prepared. Then there's, right now, once we come out of this, we're still not going to have a vaccine. So you're not going to be able to touch things. You're not going to want to be able to, you're not going to want to have cash. You're not going to want to, be looking around an environment, possibly getting a virus. So what if you can just look around a real physical environment and select what you want, buy it, and then they get it for you, and they cleanse it or whatever it is, so you can walk out with something that is safe. But you've been shopping, and maybe see how empty the stores are. Maybe it won't be, they'll do like stores are doing right now. They limit the amount of people that can go in. This is all the reality of where we are, not even the future. Travel. Right now, this is possible. You can walk around the world and see digital overlays on top of where you're going. But this is going to ramp up a lot, because now people are going to need to understand where to go, understand what things to do, because now a lot of stores and stuff may not come back. It might be all new things everywhere. And how are you going to know what's what? So another big thing is the elderly, right? People are home. Once we go out, the elderly may still not be able to go out because of their risk to this virus. So what if we could slap on virtual reality glasses on them and put them in a beach or travel with them around the world? Imagine traveling with your parents virtually where you don't have to risk their lives, right? And that's where we're going. And this is possible right now. This is the Oculus, I think, Go. It's like $300, and you can throw it on and literally go places. There's one app that lets you go in the street view of Google anywhere in the world. So you could just plop down, you know, like when you plop down in Google Street View to be somewhere and then you look around. You can do that in virtual reality. So you literally can go anywhere Google has set up, which is everywhere in the world, all through the VR glasses. And then I ended it with, I believe all this technology will take a huge jump within this time, but it will really take the big jump once Apple creates their glasses that allow you to do stuff like this, right? Apple has been piece by piece buying companies, creating things, creating development kits, all kind of stuff with the interest of creating glasses like this that will push AR. Because once Apple does it and they look cool and they work awesome and they're easy to create for and they have an app store, many people will use it, and that's the day I've been waiting for. And I have a bunch of ideas, all kind of people talking to me about AR stuff. I don't talk about it that much anymore because I thought I was ahead of the game, but I was way too ahead of the game 10 years ago. Now I still feel like I'm ahead of the game. I'm still doing it in the background. I'm not like talking about it a lot, but I do these conferences because I do want to stay in the know and stay my brand for people to know that I do this. So that's what this conference was today. I'm definitely going to have the actual conference. They said they recorded it. So once I get it, I will put it out there too. But, you know, this AR thing, you know, it's not going away. And I mean, it's AR, VR. In actuality, I think it's going to get much bigger because of what we just went through. So maybe I'll try to get back to conference and see what they're talking about. Or hop into. So even this is a genius idea. They thought about it before the conference. Maybe we could go online. And now because of this company is probably exploding. The company that creates this way of doing conferences.
I think there's similar struggles. I don't think there's a huge, yes, you know, arguably there's quite a fair difference between the UK and Germany, but I think there is also similarities in that inertia. You know, changing ways of working, changing outlooks doesn't just happen over 2 or 3 months. You know, it can be the spark, it can be the impetus to look at things differently. But we're then, you know, like I said, my worry is we just drift back to the same sort of scenarios we were in before, as opposed to take an opportunity to not fully reset, but at least reframe what we look at. So, you know, I think we're going to need to see how we come out of it, whether we sort of go back to old practices or not. So, you know, the jury's out.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point overall. The jury's out in terms of the technology, but I suppose the jury's out in terms of where is the exit strategy from, you know, the global economy in this at the moment. There's various countries deploying different strategies, so we'll know with hindsight a year from now, I guess, who got it right. But it'll take us a year, and it could be a painful year in the interim. But listen to my panel. Many thanks for your contributions throughout the day. Their booths are still open, by the way. That's the TU Dublin Hothouse and the Immerse booth if people want to check in or just leave a message there. So you guys may exit gracefully or otherwise by just clicking the leave button. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Alec.
Bye-bye, guys. So we're nearly at the end of the day. I'm just waiting to patch in our very last panelist of the day. It's been a great day. I've really enjoyed the proceedings. I hope you have as well. It's been 100% learning experience from me. Generally, I think it went well. I hope that you got a real good benefit from it. A couple of things I didn't mention earlier. Firstly, that and we had a small opportunity to promote it, but only a small one in the MII, the Marketing Institute of Ireland stage. We have a digital analytics and digital marketing analytics masters, where I and a couple of colleagues, but I in particular, teach some immersive technology for marketers. And secondly, we do in TU Dublin have a new course which has been piloted. It's a CPD, continuing professional development certificate in immersive technologies for business. And depending on demand, I hope there'll be a lot of demand, we're looking at maybe running running that starting in September. So if that's of interest to you or your team, it's a 12-week block. We are even open to the idea of doing it over a couple of weekends. It's 20 hours, 24 hours of contact. You get to work in an Apple lab as well. So creating some AR experiences, but also looking at a commercialization dimension and also a proof of concept, and we get you working with industry to help them deploy these technologies in a real world situation or context. So hopefully that's of interest to you. I'm just going to check to see if I can bring in our final guest of the day. Hopefully he's there. I'm just checking. It's for Tom Strimble. Tom, if you can see me or hear this, here we go. Excellent.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Tom, you have the honor of being the last guest live on stage. So,
wow, what a marathon you've had.
Yeah, it's been fun. Martin Fitzgerald, I think he asked, I presume you're referring just to the course that I mentioned there. I'll assume that's what you were talking about. Will it cover VR as well? Yeah, absolutely. The prototype isn't in VR, but we do expose people to working in Unity. They do get exposure to Unity. But just to be clear, it's not a technical course. It's a business application course. But certainly my colleagues in the School of Media have some excellent courses, including the Creative Digital Media course, where there's a very strong VR, AR, immersive technology development stream as well. We didn't even get into that topic today in terms of skill needs in this sector, but certainly there's an explosion of needs in terms of the technical skills around things like Unity. Tom, you'd be a good person to talk to that, but we haven't brought you on to talk about that. You're here to tell us and the people watching who are still with us about the launch party this evening of Air Immersive. Quickly, you might give us a sense of that.
Absolutely. I'll take just 1 or 2 minutes here. And I think that David Gardner's last sentiments were right on the mark when he said that, if anything has come out of this COVID-19 situation, is that the industry has really come together. Air Immersive is what I'm here to talk about. And tonight we're doing kind of a after party for this great event, and also a soft launch for Air Immersive. Now, Air Immersive is a trade organization, as I mentioned in the very first session of the day. It's a trade organization, which Alex, you know well, and you've been participating in for quite a long time, that was formed in 2018 when 10 ARVR companies around Ireland came together and just started communicating about the trends and this growing sector. We have now, after quite a long time of building that up, and really it's been gestating more than anything. But at this point, what we're looking to do is open it up to the public, because we know, especially on a day like today, that there's a lot more interest in the sector and a lot of people who would like to be part of that conversation. So the reason I say this is a soft launch is that eventually Air Immersive, or in the relatively near future, Immersive is going to be a paid membership organization. But right now, I think what we're doing is trying to open the doors, seeing what interest is in the market. Go to airimmersive.com and express your interest there just by filling in a quick form. And then what we're going to be doing is having more information sessions in the coming weeks. The first will be on Thursday, the 28th, near the end of the month here. So do that on the website, but more importantly, come to the event tonight. It's in AltSpace VR. Throw on your headset if it's a Go or a Quest or whatever you got, and even if it's just a PC at home, you can log in on the 2D version as well. And you'll hear a little bit more from us, and we'll have the social time afterward. Go ahead, Alice. I can't hear you.
Because I had my mic off. Apologies. It's going to kick off about 5:30, isn't that right? So it's just about 30 minutes from now, and it's in AltSpace. Yeah, and if people know AltSpace, they'll find it should be one of the events promoted, isn't that right? At 5:30 p.m. That's Irish or London time. So if you're watching from abroad, wherever, we're on the same time as London Dublin time, which is GMT plus 1 hour. So any of the international people watching, I see there, John Tichy, that's cool. I just see that he sent a note that he got up at 1 a.m. this morning Pacific time to watch the conference. So that we are impressed. That's all I can say. So if you have a headset, Jan, do join us in AltSpace in half an hour. It's the Air Immersive EIRMERSIV launch party, and I guess it'll be easy to find just from the events.
in the booth that's here, you get the link to the Eventbrite invite page, and then you can follow it.
And do they need the Eventbrite page? They do as well, I guess.
If in Altspace, if you don't make an invite, then you get a bunch of wandering.
Very good.
Folks wandering.
That's quite important. We've got just a few minutes if you're interested, folks. So go to the Immersive booth, which is in our expo here, Immersive booth, and that'll give you the link. So do that before this, before we finish broadcasting in 3 minutes' time. I hope we have loads of people. I'm going to be there. I am, by the way, if anyone's looking out for me, I am Persuader. That's my yeah. So Matt Harvey, quick thanks, Matt. I didn't get a chance to see your panel. I hope it was a big success. Of course, you don't need a headset. Run in 2D mode, so no excuse. That is a good point, Matt. Thanks for, if you don't have any of the technology, you can still go into Altspace, altspace.com. You need to set up an account if you haven't got one already, but it's pretty seamless. But you will need the access, as you say, the invite from Eventbrite, which is in the expo section. Thanks, Matt.
If I could make one last point, is that if you can't make it tonight, don't let that stop you. Be on the website and then look for further information sessions later on.
Yeah.
Alex, you did a great job today. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun, and thank you, Tom, for helping coordinate a couple of the things in the run up today. We'll have a chat, and maybe we may even manage a coffee in the next 6 weeks. It's looking hopeful. So thanks, Tom. You can switch off your screen if you wish there. Thank you. We'll see you in half an hour.
So it was a crazy day. I've been going 7 o'clock in the morning working on this stuff, but I think thank you for anyone who's watched. If there's any questions about ARVR, you have any ideas, definitely reach out. We're in a huge time in history, and this is a time to create your idea. And it doesn't even have to be as super technology focused as ARVR. It's just right now there's opportunity everywhere, and if you're sitting at home wondering where your next dollar is going to come from, it can come from you. It can come from you. You just have to spend the time, spend the work, and find the right partners. So definitely, I'm hoping to help more and more people make their ideas happen. And let's see what happens. Thank you for watching. Be back tomorrow with a guest. All right. Thank you.